Hello everybody, my name is Wilder, and I have gotten a ton of requests from all of you to take another look at Harvest Moon One World. A lot of you said that it looks better than it did in the original trailer, and while it definitely does, that's not what I'm interested in today. Now, Harvest Moon One World has gotten a new trailer since I made my last video on it, and along with it comes a bunch of new information that lets us get a better look at the game, which is what I wanted to focus on today. I want to focus on the mechanics that are going to be in this game and how it'll play. But most of all, I want to know what you guys think about what you see here today. I'm very interested to know what your opinion is, so let's get right into it. First of all, the name One World is important. This game is going to be pseudo-open world. Kind of open world. There is a big emphasis on exploring in this game, which is definitely different than what Harvest Moon has been about in the past. Usually you settle down with your farm, your house, you live your life right there in the town. But One World seems to be changing up that formula quite a bit using exploration. And the way they want to push us to explore more in this game, and get used to it, is with three main features that are going to be a big part of this game. First, there's what are called the Harvest Wisps, kind of like the Harvest Sprites. These little guys are everywhere. There are going to be hundreds of them around the world. And the reason is because they're how you're going to be getting your seeds in this game. Yeah, so you'll have to find these Harvest Wisps hiding around the world, and every time you find one, it'll give you seeds so that you can grow crops. Now, this is the only way to get seeds in the beginning of the game. But don't worry, because after you sell enough of a certain crop, you'll be able to buy that crop's seeds from the store. So I guess it's kind of like something you can work towards. Find enough Harvest Wisps to grow enough of a crop so that you can sell them all and unlock them in the store. I don't know, this system really reminds me of Koroks from Breath of the Wild. You find the Koroks, they give you a seed. Anyway, the second feature that helps you focus on exploring is what's called the Expando Farm. This tool allows you to condense your farm and put it into your pocket, so that you can relocate to a new area and plop your farm right back down. Now, I think this is kind of a really cool idea, actually. You can just pick up your farm and take it with you to other parts of the world. When you pick up your farm, you bring everything with you, except for the crops that are planted. You leave them there, and that's because crop mutations are returning in this game. For example, if you plant a tomato in an area of the world where it's extremely cold, you'll get a frozen tomato, not a regular one. Stuff like that. There's a bunch of different combinations and mutations to find in this game, depending on where you plant your crops. But don't worry about leaving your crops for too long, because there will be sprinklers in this game, just like in Stardew Valley. They'll take care of your crops while you're gone, so there's no need to worry about them while you're out exploring. Anyway, the Expando Farm actually sounds really cool. It's a nice idea. But the third feature is going to be fast travel. Yeah, you can fast travel in this game. As long as you've been to an area in the world, you can fast travel there on your map for convenience. I mean, I guess it makes sense, if you think about other games that have open or pseudo-open worlds, fast travel is just kind of a requirement at this point. But it's definitely weird to hear about it in a farming sim. I think it'll work fine though, because of their push for exploration. It'll probably be a huge help later on. Speaking of exploration though, we should talk about the actual world and its areas. So there are 5 areas in this game. There's the grasslands of Callison, the beaches of Hollow Hollow, the Pastilla Desert, the hills of Lebkuchen, and finally the mountains of Salmiakki. Now all these different areas are all based on different parts of the real world, which means that they'll have their own cultures and festivals exclusive to them. That's a really interesting one. Exclusive festivals. I hope that means that there are more festivals than usual because there are so many areas. Not only that though, every town and its area will have their own independent weather systems, which is pretty cool actually, especially when you're talking about a farming sim where you can literally move your farm anywhere you want. Anyway, on top of all that, the different areas will have their own seasons as well, which gives them advantages when either planting certain crops or trying to get certain crop mutations. Now that, plus the fact that there's fast travel in the game as well, seems like it might make farming super easy, which I'm actually kind of afraid of. But hey, I guess we'll have to wait and see how this Harvest Wisp system turns out first. Because I think a lot of the things in this game are going to be tied to whether that system works well with the rest of the game. That's just what I'm feeling though. Let me know what you think about all that. Anyway, moving on. You may be wondering how all this exploration is going to work when your character usually picks up a sickle for 2 seconds at the beginning of the game and already needs to go to the hospital due to exhaustion. Well, One World actually made a lot of changes to how the stamina system works so that it's easier for you to actually get out there and explore the world. So first of all, it's easier to refill your stamina with food and other items than it has been in previous games. That way you can make sure to keep going throughout the day, or even the night, since certain Harvest Wisps and animals that you can tame will only come out at certain times of night. Speaking of food earlier though, something that again reminded me of Breath of the Wild is that depending on where you are in the world, the weather can actually affect your stamina. For example, if you're in intense cold or intense heat, your stamina will drain faster than normal. Now there are no outfits in the game that will actually protect you from this. All the clothes that are going to be in this game are going to be purely cosmetic. But if you cook certain cold or hot dishes and foods, they actually have the ability to protect you from the intense heat or cold for a certain amount of time. That way, your stamina won't actually drain while you're exploring. Like I said, really reminded me of Breath of the Wild, but I will say that it's actually pretty nice to see food and the cooking skill being used for something new in this series. It's kind of refreshing, to be honest. Kinda makes me think of Rune Factory because I now have an actual reason to get better at cooking. Anyway, the stamina system being changed is a pretty big one. I feel like it's going to be really jarring at first, but it'll probably fit well after a while, especially after the exploration really kicks in. Now I mentioned certain animals you can tame only appearing at certain times of night. I want to talk about that a bit because there are a whole bunch of different exotic animals you can have on your farm in this game. Instead of just having our regular cows, sheep, chickens, you know, the classics, we'll be able to add animals we find in the wild to our farm, such as bears, foxes, and tigers, just to name a few. I'm actually really happy about tigers because they're my favorite animal, so that's pretty cool. There are also more animals you can ride in this game instead of just horses. You can get a camel from the Pastilla Desert to ride on, and you can get a reindeer as well from the mountains of Salmiakki. So that's cool, we'll get a little bit of a variety of what we can ride on. I should mention that you can't actually fast travel while you're on your mount. You have to get off before you can fast travel. But I guess it doesn't really matter when you can literally just put your entire farm in your pocket and then travel. Animals included, by the way. Everything goes with you from the farm, except the crops, like I mentioned earlier. There are definitely a lot of interesting ideas that they have for this game, and I'm actually pretty interested to see how and if they all work together well. There are quite a few mechanics here that need to be spot on, and I'm very interested to see if this game can do it. The whole pseudo open world thing is interesting as well. I never expected a farming sim to go in that direction, but I can see it working. Especially because of the Expando farm, letting it just pick up and plop your farm down in a completely different area. That's probably my favorite thing about this game so far. I actually think it's pretty cool. The thing I'm most interested in, though, is your opinion. Now that you know more about Harvest Moon One World, what do you think of it? I see potential here. Like I said, there's a lot of systems that have to work spot on, especially like the Harvest Wisp system, but there are some actual really cool ideas here. I just really hope they're implemented well. Which of these mechanics do you have a lot of hope for? Do you see some cool ones? Do you not like a lot of them? Or maybe you haven't seen some mechanics you expected to return. How do you think this is all gonna work out? Definitely let me know what you think about this push towards exploration. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below because that's gonna be it from me today. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. All links are down in the description along with the names of my wonderful, amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.